Does it seem to be getting worse? That's my question for you guys, because it comes up quite a bit. I've done a bunch of interviews on other shows recently, and this conversation pops up quite a bit, where liberals they say nothing's happening. This is totally normal. Well, Jesse Waters has a segment from his show. I believe this was just a day or so ago, which I'm not going to play the full thing, but he does bring up a very interesting issue with the escalation and the degree of far left terror. And when he wraps it up in this nice little package, you start to say, holy crap, because all of this is within like not even a year. This is like 6 months. Listen to this.
So the summer of love is back, and we haven't even made it to Memorial Day. In the last few months, a healthcare exec was assassinated outside his hotel. Teslas started getting firebombed, IVF clinics torched. Oh, and they even tried to burn down Governor Shapiro's house in Pennsylvania. What do they all have in common? They're all leftists, and they're not mostly peaceful. Overnight, a young couple in Washington was executed in cold blood. 2 Israeli diplomats who were in love were gunned down, leaving a Jewish museum. The assassin fired several times. After the victims fell to the ground, videos showed the gunman leaning in and firing several more times. As one of them crawled away, the shooter fired again, reloaded, and then shot even more rounds into her body. The suspect was arrested on the scene and went berserk.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Witnesses say before this guy was arrested, security accidentally let him into the museum, thinking he was a victim. And people inside had no idea they were face-to-face with a killer.
So they go on to interview a woman who talks about she gave him a drink of water and stuff. But here's more from Jesse.
Bondi.
We'll be doing everything in our power to keep all citizens safe, especially tonight our Jewish community. We will follow the facts. We will follow the law. And this defendant, if charged, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
So here's my point, because I know it is a little redundant. I recorded earlier on this, but I was watching that clip from Jesse as he went on about this, and again, I've had these conversations with people. So comment, because I'm curious what you guys think. Is it getting worse? I did an interview with Adam Friedland recently. He's a funny guy. I thought it was fun, and he said we had bombings in the 70s. Like, this stuff happens all the time. It's not new. It's not crazy. You're just scaring people. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't think so. Not in my life. I don't know where it goes, but let me just say that what we're experiencing in this country is unprecedented. Bombings, not unprecedented. It's happened. But the arrest of the front runner for the presidency, his attempted assassination twice. He asked me, Adam's like, how many presidents have been killed? And I was like, I don't know. Is it 2 or 3? It's like 4 or 5. I don't know what the number is. It's actually kind of a lot. It's like 10% of all presidents or something. It's like, okay, right. 2 assassination attempts, the arrest of his lawyers, false criminal charges. Sorry, it's unprecedented. It is. We have the Tesla fire bombings and shootings. We've had random Tesla vehicles shot up. We've had people get up in the face of these individuals. Now we have this insane, like, it wasn't even a year. It was about a year ago. Almost a year ago. We were getting these violent protests over Israel. Now a dude literally just murdered some people. And it's a horrifying story. In D.C., nonetheless, crazy, man. The rhetoric is escalating. And so I'll throw this in there too, because I was out for the week, I know. But I was talking to Bill Maher. And one of the issues that came up was the hyperpolarization among the younger generations, which is getting worse and worse. That people don't understand. People like to look at this country and just think you've got Democrats and Republicans, and they all agree. Like a 70-year-old Republican views the world the same way as a 20-year-old Republican. They do not. They may both vote Republican, but for different reasons. Democrats largely the same. Older Democrats hate Donald Trump much more than younger Democrats. It's weird. And if we go by age and not by party, every demographic, this is interesting too, because Bill, he said he was familiar with it. I said, Real Clear Politics about that aggregate where it showed every age bracket was pro-Trump except for 70 plus, which is the majority of cable TV viewers. And he was familiar. And so my point there is, as we move forward throughout the years, older people are going to die, to which Bill started laughing. I said, when they pass, I said, say they die. I'm like, okay, they're dead. It's funny. I had a fun time. I like Bill. He's wrong a lot. And oh boy, is he full of himself. You better believe it. But it was good. And I appreciate that he's having these conversations with everybody. So that'll be at some point. But when the boomer generation leaves, they don't want violence. They just disagree with each other. The younger generations are largely more pro-violence. Or at least the left is. They claim the right is, but that makes no sense. They're just, like I mentioned earlier, they're basically lumping all of the right in together. I don't know what that is. White nationalists and ANCAPs are not the same group. They're not both right-wing. That's stupid. The left is not all unified either. There are some people on the liberal left side that are pro-Israel, but they largely still vote in a bloc. The left will claim this about the right, but it's not true. White nationalists are not voting alongside ANCAPs. It just doesn't happen. But progressives are voting with Democrats. It does happen. Prominent leftists, I'm not going to name them, but, anti-Israel leftists, socialists have rallied for Joe Biden. Libertarians ragged on Trump the whole time. Some of them voted for him. Indeed, I get it. Many ragged on him the whole time. And so that's what I'm wondering. As we get older, is the real issue not that people are being polarized, that the polarization has already happened. And so in 10 years, the way I put it is, if we look at like where my fingers touch is Democrats and Republicans who are older. And then as you move down, the younger down here is 20-year-olds, up here 70-year-olds. The 20-year-olds are super far away from each other. So what happens when you age that up? The point where people are together will start to die off, and then you'll end up with just two distinct factions, hyper-polarized, viewing each other as mortal enemies. And is that when you get civil war? Maybe. Here's this funny post from Reddit that I think is entertaining. Who would win this civil war? And they've made ridiculous regions for some reason, but sure, let's entertain it. And it's the U.S. is the Midwest and the Northeast. The Confederacy is Arizona to Florida and North Carolina. The Pacific states, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, and California. The Rocky Mountain states are the Rocky Mountain states. And the Republic of Alaska. I don't know why Hawaii would be aligned with the Pacific states. It would probably just be its own thing. And then they'd all starve to death because Hawaii is very reliant on imports. But anyway, maybe they'll do trade with, Asia or something. Or get conquered by China in 2 seconds. So the funny thing is, people seem to think that the blue faction, the Midwest and Northeast, would survive because of the power structures. And look at West Virginia in there. Now, this map makes no sense. It's a silly idea, but this was 4 days ago. They posted this, and it got a lot of attention. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, they're wrong about the blue states winning. The blue states have two large fronts based on this map. The Rocky Mountain states and the Confederate states bordering them. Now, they're protected with Canada to the north. But if you take a look at the border exposure of the Confederate states, some might argue it is, but they've got, they're bordering everybody. Sure. However, the East Coast states, like the issue, I suppose, is the southern states in this map they have clear fronts not aligned in concentrated areas. So, Kansas, Missouri, if there's a united front or conflict for these two states, could be a problem. The issue for the blue states is that you've got a southern front and a western front. And for the Confederate states, you have basically a northern front. So you have enemy combatants in a straight line across the board. It's a big border to protect. It could be difficult, but they're two different factions. So it's hard to know for sure. I don't know. It's a silly map, to be honest. Alaska probably would just break off for itself. Some have argued that Arizona, New Mexico would absolutely not align with the South. They'd align with the Rocky Mountain states. I think the issue is largely the Rocky Mountain states would not be involved in a direct conflict. They'd be rather neutral. The Pacific states would be involved in conflict to a certain degree, but still largely neutral. And the conflict would largely be East Coast between the North and the South, which is, surprise, surprise. The Rocky Mountain states are sparsely populated, and there's nothing there. I mean, not literally like Kansas has, Nebraska have farms and stuff. But the East Coast has industry, development, ports, airports, infrastructure, as does the South. So I don't know if this one is just a silly way to break it down, but I do love how they just believe blue would win. I'm from the blue country, and I sadly agree, and they say it's because of the profits and everything. This person said, blue's the most geographically indefensible. They can't stop anyone from rolling across the Great Plains. They have large borders of 2 different armies that can attack from the west and the south. Yellow, on the other hand, has an ocean on one side, the Rockies, Cascade Mountains, and Sierra Nevada. That's why when you break this down, I don't know, I think this is funny, Matt, but the last point I'll make is people don't understand that it's not going to break down this way. You know, whenever I have conversations about escalation of violence and civil war, people don't understand that factions are not geographically based. Red Illinois is not aligning itself with blue Chicago. It's not going to happen. And the populations are comparable of the red rural portion and the urban portion. What likely happens is that the ideological split in this country is largely rural and urban, and the rural factions will shut the roads down, isolating resources very easily. One guy with a rifle in the middle of Illinois can stop a convoy of supplies and steal them all for a base. And Chicago goes, oh no, they don't control enough land to be able to guarantee the transport of resources into the cities. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about that. That was just funny, Matt. But anyway, my point was, you know, with Jesse Waters bringing up this escalation, this repetition, I'm curious if he's saying Summer of Love now. I guess we'll see. I'm going to leave it there, my friends. Smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all Timcast IRL tonight at 8 p.m.